Everyone wants to build wealth, everyone wants financial freedom. But the big question is, what are people not telling us about building wealth in Nigeria? Is salary enough? Is hard work enough? We'll find out in this conversation. Welcome to the third episode of Behind the Listing podcast, brought to you by Robert Tools International Limited, where we spill the tea, have real conversations, and the stories you'll never find in a brochure. I remain your humble host, Amaka Amara. And with me today, we have amazing personality. So first of all, I'll introduce my co-host, Dr. Ezekiel Shojupe. So please go ahead to introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you so much for having me. It's another great episode. And to all our viewers watching us all over the world, thank you for joining us once again. And today we have somebody special in the room. Somebody I respect so much, my brother, my friend, my mentor also in the industry. He's a billionaire actually, in the person of Mr. Sanusi Adiola, the MD CEO of Excel Homes Realty. My
Oh,
brother, my
welcome,
friend,
sir.
thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
coming on this episode.
Welcome,
Thank you
sir.
so much for joining us. We really do not take it for granted, and we hope to learn from your wealth of experience.
Thank you.
So, give it back to
Okay,
Amakara.
let's get straight into business. So before that, we want you to give us a brief introduction about yourself
Thank you very much.
and what you
Amaka.
do.
Yeah. Point of correction. He's my mentor. So he actually preached the gospel of real estate to me in 2020.
Wow.
That was April 17,
Hmm.
and it was by divine should we call it divine
Arrangement.
coincidence? It was divinely arranged actually. So thank you very much, Ezekiel. You've been an inspiration to me for the longest. You've never stopped. You've been audacious. In fact, I can't forget 2020. 2020 is very personal for me. I feel like if there's any year I want to go back to relive, just probably to go and look at myself and look at my journey, to be 2020, and it will eventually be because of you, because you know we pushed each other. I can always remember, yeah, I can always remember 2020, the way we trekked from, was it Ikota to Chevron or where, because
It
we didn't
was,
have transport fare.
yeah. Actually,
Yeah, so we also, that one
both of us
was
might carry on this video, so you guys should get ready.
honestly,
Wow.
like
We went for an inspection
yeah,
actually.
we went for an inspection. We were expecting someone to send like 1,000 naira to us, so we can withdraw,
Okay.
because then you can withdraw 1,000 from ATM now. So
Hmm.
I think he had to reach out to his brother or something to send some cash to
Money.
him. Then we couldn't. Maybe his bank was not
No, I
working.
think
Then
my
we
phone
now had
went
to.
off or something. I think
So
our
we now had
phone
to
was
trek.
off.
We now had to trek. It was chaotic to be honest. At the end of the day, we were able to use one bank like that
Yeah.
around,
Wow.
and it was just there was determination, pure passion. It wasn't really about the glamour. It was not really about looking good doing real estate. It was just about doing something you really love and you're
Something you
passionate
love.
about.
Wow.
And that's one thing I love about him, the fact that he's very passionate about what he does,
Hmm.
and he poured out himself for me. You
Wow.
understand? So
Yeah.
I learned from, let me just say, I learned from
Learn
the
from
best.
him. Learn from
Yeah,
the best.
so thank you very much. Ezekiel. Yes, so my name is Adiola Sanusi. I'm the managing director of Excel Homes Realty. We are a development company in Lagos, and um we actually do land banking, and we also build residential commercial properties in prime areas like Lekki Phase 1, Ikoyi, mainland as well. I'm saying this because that's the vision, right?
It's
Yeah.
special gift from
So
God. That's where we are going to.
yeah,
Even in downtown Dubai, we are
yeah.
there. Very
Say
so good there.
say
Beautiful.
say those things that be not as though they are,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So yeah. Um that's I think that's like basically,
Beautiful.
yeah, bit about
Okay,
Beautiful.
so like you guys have said, it's going to be like a broader conversation. So you guys should take your popcorn and your tea. You're going to
Yes.
learn a lot from
yeah.
this conversation. I told him in my office before we come. I told him that we're going to be having heart to heart
Hmm.
conversation, our
Beautiful.
story. So it's more like as if we are both guests on this show. So I know what to ask him. So
Alright.
Excel is actually I met Excel in Unilag. Yeah, Excel by mind you is the BGS in a set. So Excel is a set before me.
Hmm.
So yeah, so there's like my senior in school
Yeah.
then. So and Excel is very smart when it comes to books. So that was why it became so popular in the faculty. So not just BGS in the department, but faculty BGS.
Faculty, wow.
So please take note of that. So that was so everybody knows Excel in the faculty. You know, when you hear Excel, who is this Excel? Who is this? So everybody wanted to associate. That's how I actually get to know Excel, and he has been an amazing person. So my own first question to you is, Excel, tell us your story, and I want you to be real with us, right? Tell us how you did you ever envision if let's say 10 years back, if they tell you are going to be here, are you gonna believe it? If they tell you, I know there was a part in your life that you actually went to the UK to in search of greener pasture and all, and you are back in Nigeria. I know there's a lot of water has gone under the bridge.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So just tell us your story, how you metamorphose into Excel humility. I know that when you were in school then you used to do tutorials in school then. You used to it was a lecture, but I don't know whether he still like teaching right now anyways. But so tell us the story, your humble background. Is it that your daddy was a $10? Or is it that there was money? So that a lot of people now they will say that it's like I check him. He has somebody that their family that has the money before, And I saw you on a video recently where you were trying to encourage people that they should not have excuse for success. Don't say because $10 has a leverage. No, that doesn't stop you from actually achieving success also. So tell us your humble beginning. That's basically.
Thank you very much for that question. So this is going to be me going memory lane, right? So I'm actually from a family of 6. And the family is quite dynamic because my parents separated at some point, and so I was raised most of my life by my mom. So I literally saw her struggle, raising the three of us before we had another sibling. But I saw her struggle raising the three of us. But she was very entrepreneurial. She didn't give up. She always, went for anything she wanted, and I saw her do one thing to another, right? Just to yes raise us, and one thing I can tell you for a fact is the whole hustling thing. It doesn't come natural to me, because while growing up, they used to call me like a butty, that type of child, you get, because I'm not the type that wants to stress myself.
Nepo baby.
You get that? So, but when my parents separated, it dawned on me that this is now the new reality. I was 15, and my I was 15, and my mom just gave birth to one of my siblings, and he left. So immediately I had to take the responsibility, just because I just finished high school. So when I finished high school, then my mates finished high school as well. Everybody was thinking about university. That was not even in the radar for me. So I had to start. I started working as a 6 to 6 laborer in a factory worker. So where you either work from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or you work from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And we're literally doing what we're producing were all these ragolis. So we're using this foaming machine to produce that. And those machines are machines that actually, based on record, they are machines that have mutilated people before. So imagine a 15-year-old having to do that. So I did that for close to 2 years before working somewhere else that was a bit better. That was GSK. That was when they were in Nigeria. So I was in the packing floor. I was packing paracetamol. Yeah, I was packing. So did that for about a year as well before when my mom was strong enough, then she was not able to like carry the family. Then I was now, working on getting admission into the uni before I finally gained admission into Yaba Tech in 2013. And in that year, she passed on. The year I gained admission. So everything.
Admission into school.
Yes, that was like 2 weeks to my first exam.
Wow.
So she passed. Yeah. And that was, I think till date, that's like the darkest moment of my entire life. So that was when I actually really learned about, I'd been born again before then, but that was actually when I learned about real faith. That was when I really learned about the foundation of faith. So I started attending Covenant Christian Center back then. It was very close to Yaba Tech. So literally go to the church from, like, just trek from there. So I learned the foundation of faith, the fact that you have to confess positive things, I got to learn the reason why my mom passed as well, because there were some things she said
Mm.
that whenever she said those things, doesn't really. There was a time she called myself and my sibling and told us that she was going to die at 43. That they told her she was going to die at 43, and the moment she told us, we eased and we left. I was like, "What's this one saying?
What's
What do you mean you will die?
Like,
Like, what do you mean by death?
yeah.
You know?" So but actually, she passed on her birthday, on her 43rd birthday.
Hmm.
So I, from experience, I learned the power of my words. Like I learned
Mm.
that your words can actually break you or make you. So when I
Yeah.
later saw it in the Word of God, where the Bible now says that okay, you have whatever it is you say.
Yeah.
My mom had what she said though, so
Wow.
I learned the value of saying positive things
Positive thing.
from a very young age,
Young age.
and that was my mantra all through. So even though going to school was very tough. For example, when I was going to enter into the University of Lagos, it was one of my friends, her name is Oreoloa. Her mom borrowed money from Lapo for me
Hmm.
to for my school fees.
Wow.
And then I think it was like 45K or
Hmm.
50K, I can't remember. But the first school fees was like a lot. 50K was like a lot of money.
Money
That was in
then.
2015. So that was a lot of money back then. So it was crazy. So instead, Unilag was going on well. The determination was I needed to do very well because I'm the firstborn. My mom was not was has passed already. She's late already. My dad was not really present, so I needed to be firm so I can be there for my siblings. You understand? So I felt like I'm taking a new role. So that was where my motivation comes from. You understand? So anything that you see me do, it's coming from a place of I know my why. I know where I'm coming from. You understand? So the most important thing to me for me in school was to just come out excellent so I can get the best of the best opportunity, job opportunity. So that was the expectation. Although I was doing entrepreneurial stuff while in
Mm.
school, because there was no way in the world I could fund myself in
Yeah,
school.
that's true.
So I can remember in year one, I was in year one and I literally got all the past questions
Mm.
and I solved everything, and I started selling the materials in
Selling the
school.
materials.
Those were
Wow.
what were helping me even pay back the loan for my school fees, and a lot of things. So it was just a crazy experience, right?
Experience.
So, but at some point, I was able to learn resilience from all those things. I
Mm.
learned that if life had been easy with me from the onset,
Mm.
I most likely would not be this
Will
tough,
be
right?
this stuff.
Yeah. So because me naturally I'm lazy.
Yeah.
Naturally I'm lazy, but when life pushes you to that point where
Don't have
you
a choice.
literally
Have
do
a
not have
choice.
a choice, you have to. It's either you sink or swim.
Mm.
So at that point, you do not have a choice but to swim. So yeah, when then by the time I was done with University of Lagos, I got into finance. I did an internship in that same company actually when I was in year three. So they called me back. That's Sankore Investment. So they called me back for for the job. That they really wanted me to continue. So because I was really passionate about it. But I noticed one thing shifted when I came back in 2020 to work. I noticed that I was not as passionate as I was in 20 when I did my internship in year three.
Mm.
I just noticed there was a shift and I don't know why.
Mm.
Like the job I was very passionate about, I was so happy to go to work before.
Wow.
It was not just same
And
thing
you
anymore.
intern as what then?
I was a finance intern, so I was an investment intern. Let me just like research all those things. That was what I was doing. So I just noticed that I was not passionate about this whole thing, and I was willing to let it go. So I now had a boss that was acting, some sort. I don't know. I didn't really like it. I was not comfortable, and he
Mhm.
said something to me. He said, because that day I needed to go to work, but I needed to do something at school before I go to work. And he told me no, I should go to work first. So let me explain. My school, I stayed at Akoka now, Abuleoja, close to Unilag. Unilag and Abuleoja is very close, right? My workplace is in Ikoyi.
Mm.
So I told my boss that okay, I have an event because when they had a matriculation back then, and they were like they wanted me to come and speak to the new
So then,
students. You get so, and I told my boss, why can I just attend this program? It's from 10. Let me just attend this program from 10 to 11, then I'll come to Ikoyi. Do you understand? My boss said no, that I should first resume at the office
The office, then
by
go back.
7 or 8, then go back for this
Then
thing,
then
then
Come
come
back
back
again.
to. Then I'm still going back to the same place. That's where I live. So, and this guy told me, if you don't come, you'll regret it. I said, eh?
Hmm.
What? The following day, I went to drop their laptop for them. I said, I'm coming. What do you mean I'll regret it? Like, that's very heavy. Do you understand? So,
Yeah.
so from there, I already had that mind shift that I don't think I want to work for someone. Do you understand? Because I don't want anybody to control my life.
Hmm.
Because some bosses can be actually really cool, while some bosses they just overreach.
That's true.
So I started doing tutorials myself and Seflin Min, my friend, started doing tutorials, and I was like, okay, let me just see how this goes. Then all of a sudden, Mrs. COVID came.
When is this
The
COVID?
year that everything changed.
You get, so COVID came, everybody had to shut out and stay home, and I was now confused. I was so confused with life, like, because everybody's now working from home. If I
Yes.
had
Yeah.
If you had
remained,
retained your
Yeah,
I
job,
would
you
have
have
been
to
working
be
from
working
home.
from
I was so confused. Then I started praying. I started praying about it, that God, just let me know what exactly I need to do, because at this point I'm just confused. So then real estate started coming to mind.
Hmm.
Started coming to me because there was a time I was very young. I think I was like maybe 19. I read a book about the ways richest people in the world made money. And real estate was top of the list. Real estate, oil and gas, and some other things. So I already had it in mind that I was going to do real estate. So I felt like the Holy Spirit reminded me of that book. That okay, I think this is it. And I was like, okay, how will I start real estate? So I started posting it on my status. Please, does anybody know how to start real estate?
Yes.
Yada yada yada. And somebody reached out and was like, oh, there's one P1, this thing that I'll pay 36,000. I said 36,000. You think say I get 36,000 anytime?
whatever.
I just left the whole thing. So then there was one fateful day where it was shut down period, and um I was staying in a room and parlor where we're like six in the
6.
place. Yes,
Yes,
we're
Wow.
like six. So it was not convenient for us. It's not comfortable at all. So I just felt the urge, because on normal day I'm okay with staying there. I just felt the urge to move to my friend's apartment, because my friend's apartment, there are two there, but it's only one person that is even around. So I now went there. I was now sleeping at his place. Then one fateful morning, somebody knocked at the door.
Yeah.
I said, who is this person? Very early. Oh. I opened the door. It
Yeah.
was Ezekiel.
Uh-uh.
What are you looking for here? So he came to see that my friend, I think they
Yeah.
had some stuff to work on together as per academics. And when they were done with their conversation, then the
Yeah.
next thing I was just whining him. Ah, Ezekiel, how far now? How are we making money now?
Money.
I remember clearly, and I said, it's real estate. I said, the same real
Real
estate I'm
estate
looking
you're
for.
looking
Yes, now, yes, people are making money. Oh. They start giving me different people's testimony. I say, whoa, we die here. Oh." So that was how the journey started, and I still kept my confession. I knew that this was what God wanted me to do, and I was really positive about it. I was confessing every single time that this year I was going to make a lot of money. And that year I made like over 600 million in sales. That was like my first year. In fact, to the point that a lot of new realtors wanted to beat that record of making that kind of sale in the first year. So, but in 2021, things changed, because the ways we're getting clients, a lot of people, a lot of it, like
There was
it
an
was now
influx
saturated.
of
Yeah. So that was Nigeria
I think
Property
it was like
Center.
as if the COVID opened a lot of people's eyes at that
Exactly.
point. Yeah.
A lot of people's eye open to
I think
real
yeah,
estate.
exactly.
So before COVID,
Yeah.
real estate was a gold mine that nobody
Nobody knows how
really know
to
about.
imagine you looking for a way to do real estate then,
Yeah.
but now it's so easy.
It's so easy now. Do you get? So back then, a lot of people didn't know, but now that as at 2021, a lot of people already knew about it. It was saturated, so getting clients was a bit of an hassle, and I made a mistake of not really asking people that were doing very well. So I just felt like, if real estate is not working, what's there? Let me go back to my 9 to 5. But let me just shoot for opportunities abroad. So I applied to work at Bloomberg in the UK, and I got it. And I got sponsored and everything. So I moved to the UK. And within 3-4 months, I already knew I made the wrong move.
Really? Why?
Because like
He made the wrong move.
yeah, I made the wrong. I already knew, like, because I was not happy. I was just like a zombie. You're literally just existing. You're not even living. You're existing.
Wow.
You're just there like a robot. Just do what they ask you to do. Then you make money, you pay a lot of it in tax, you pay a lot for your rent.
Mm.
I was like, I projected 10 years and I was like, if I remain here for 10 years, I'm just going to be one average guy
Mm.
that has UK accent. No,
See,
I don't want.
go on the accent.
You can say that your BS.
Do you get? I don't think I want that for myself. So I prayed about it and I came back the following year. That was in 2023. But this time around, the drive now was different because now I needed to prove that it made sense for me to come back.
Mm.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
I lost. I lost.
I can imagine some of your friends then. They'll be
I
like,
actually
is this
lost
guy okay?
friendship. I lost a couple of friendships based on that move. You understand? And a lot of people just distance themselves.
Because they
So
cannot understand.
they cannot understand. And sometimes it's just a wilderness experience. Sometimes you just need to be alone
Be alone.
so that God can
Just
like
peace.
help you and everything. So that nobody can say they actually helped you when you get. So that was the time for me. So I came back and pushed aggressively. And the first year we did over 1 billion in sales. That was 2023 when I
And you
came back.
came back, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so and I knew that okay, I think
So what did you
it
do
was going
different
to-
at that point?
So the first thing I did was I asked a lot of questions.
Mm.
So I think the first when I came back, I called like 3 people that I knew that were doing very well and asked questions. The next thing there was like a training by Dan Lamy then in March. I remember clearly. I went for the training and I took every single thing that guy said. Everything. I applied it aggressively.
Mm.
So and that was the game changer. Then I started reading some more books that helped me, like How to Sell Like Crazy, applying the 80-20 principle, all those things, started applying everything, and it really started working. It started producing
So knowledge.
knowledge.
People perish for
Exactly.
lack of knowledge.
Exactly. So, doing all those things really helped. Then I started creating structure little by little. So I had an assistant, someone that did this, someone that did that. So I was focusing more on closing deals. So we're closing consistently. In fact,
Mm.
from that March that I did that program till probably like 2025, every single month we were closing
Mm.
big houses.
Beautiful.
We're really closing on different things, and it was fantastic. It was a fantastic journey. So a time came where I got tired. I'm the type of person that I can easily get tired of something. So I got tired of the whole process of selling. Like I was like, okay, it's the same thing. You just sell and that's it.
Okay.
So and I just wanted to do something else. Then the idea of going into development came into the picture. I actually didn't want to do land banking. I've been to Ekpe like 3 times to meet Mr. David Onyx. So in fact, I didn't want to do land banking. To cut the long story short, but so I wanted to like get investors to do a JV, maybe building Lekki Phase 1, all those things. So, but I had a clear dream that, and funny enough, I don't even dream, but I saw that one. It was very clear that start land banking, and I did it. So, and by the time we went ahead to do it, in fact, when I called Mr. David, he was like, you that if you go now, later I no go hear from you. I said, you know what, this time around. We would." So that's how we started with Edenville in 2024. So it was how we started the whole thing. Then from there we ventured into housing, and that's how we started Periscope. So
Okay. There's still lots to talk about. But this
but that's the
is
summary of my life.
yeah, actually very inspiring story.
Yes.
So we'll take it bit by bit. So I want us to break it down
Mhm.
so that people can actually learn. From the story now, I learned resilience,
Yeah.
I learned direction,
Yes.
and I learned knowledge.
Mm.
Resilience from the standpoint of you get to a point in your life that you just have to push. You can't just, like you said, it's either you swim or you sink.
Sink.
And you don't have a choice, you have to swim.
Yes.
Because sinking is not an option.
Yes.
And talking about direction, it simply means that there's something called divine direction in life. You understand? And if you do the wrong thing, you will know. Just like the way you said, the moment you went to the UK, you 4 months into the system, you already knew that this is not me.
This is not
You understand? And I can remember we had a call that night before you moved, and you were talking to me, you were pouring out your heart to me. Maybe I still even the one you say, my guy, send me pounds. Like we say the time you say, I got no pounds for you. You understand? And a lot of people used to think no issues. I don't have issues with anybody. What's it called? What is it called? Jackpot. Or you are
Relocating. Yeah.
relocating. It's for everybody knows what they want.
The one.
You understand? So tell me, in terms of moving to the UK,
Mm.
you didn't just move to the UK. No, it's one thing for you to move to the UK. You are
Yeah.
not even sure what you want to go and do there.
To there.
You went there that okay, let's go to study, and from there we'll look for a job and we'll be living our life.
Mhm.
How some people move.
Mhm.
But you already moved with an offer in your
Yes,
hand. It's not like I say you are going
yeah.
there to go and look for what you want to go and do.
Mhm.
Do
Mhm.
you understand the point? You understand? And so, what is that thing that's because to me now, Bloomberg is a big. Anybody that knows Bloomberg, it's a
Yeah.
big organization in the UK. You are earning pounds. You're a big boy. I know a couple of our guys too
Mhm.
that are still even there up to
Yeah.
now.
They still do.
So my own can you expatiate during those time you were in the UK?
Mm.
What are the things that bothers you most?
Mm.
Is it that you were was there any point in time you were depressed?
Mm.
Was there any point in time that you just feel like I this is not I can't be in this system, I can't
Mm.
survive? You understand? And do you ever regret moving?
Okay, those are very solid questions. So the thing is, number one, I do not regret it. I needed to move. So I needed to move because number one, I needed to know for a certain that I have to render my CV useless. Like I mean my academic whatever. It has to be I had to burn it in my mind that there's nothing like nobody cares about your CV, nobody cares about your academic background.
Nobody cared that you're BGS.
Nobody cares about all that anymore. So you have to face life as an entrepreneur. So, but I needed to go through that experience. Do you understand? It had to be certain. Like I had to be resolved in my mind that come what may, I have to make business work. And if I didn't go through that experience, I might still be doubting. So sometimes business is not like this.
That's true.
Is like this, but
Definitely.
as it's like this, the trajectory is upward. Do you understand? But when you are down, there's every tendency of you being tempted and thinking, am I really sure this is what I'm meant to do? So I needed to go through that drill
Yeah.
for me to, and while I was there, I had times where while going to work, I'll be going to work like this and my eyes will be teary. So I'll be telling myself, what am I doing here? I'll be asking myself questions.
On the road,
Adiola,
and after somebody go even they look you say
inside code though,
everybody go just
inside code like this.
everybody go just
I could just the work. What are you doing? Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's crazy, because like life over there can be very lonely. Do you understand? Although there's a very strong community of blacks over there, but most of the time everybody's facing their life.
Their own business.
You are running this one is heavy rat race. Do you understand? So the lifestyle for me was not I didn't really blend well with that lifestyle because of the fact that there was no I couldn't see freedom in view, to be honest. I projected 10 years and I was like, yo, if I was looking at those that have been there for 10 years, I was looking at those that have been there for 5 years.
5 years.
And I was like, bro, this is literally my future right in front of me. Do I want this? It was a very clear something that is this what I want for myself? And the answer was no. But the strength to be able to say, okay, let me now retrace my step was what I needed to fight for, what I needed to pray about, what I needed to, because it was not easy. It was really not easy. The person I was dating then, I couldn't even tell her I was moving.
Wow.
It was until when
Imagine.
maybe like 2 months or a month to me moving, because I already booked my flight.
Wow.
I already booked my flight
You
for.
made up
So
your
this is
mind.
2023 now. Imagine 2023 by August. I already booked my flight for January. No, it was 2022 rather. I already booked my flight for January
January
2023. This is
2023.
like August. So it was like around October, November. I was able to. I had the courage to tell the person I was dating that I'm actually coming back. Yo, she wailed. she did not cry. She did not cry.
wailed.
She wailed because she was in Nigeria. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So the plan was that by the time she's ready, we'll just just live together and everything. But the major issue for me was that one thing about me is I'm a vision person. Do you understand? Vision here does not necessarily mean you are seeing visions. No. Like I'm just the type of person that when I'm in a place, like I'm already seeing, like in my imagination is open to seeing things. Like I'm already thinking of big possibilities, right?
Yeah.
And while I was there, I was not seeing that. My division was closed off. There wasn't stream of any inspiration, anything. It was just like you just existing, basically.
Wow.
And if there's anybody that is in the UK and you're feeling this way, or you're probably abroad anyway, and you're feeling this way,
Yeah.
just know that it doesn't just work.
Wow.
Do you understand? And I think one of the issues a lot of people have,
Wow.
why they've decided not to still leave,
To
even
come
though
back.
they
Yeah.
have a feeling that, oh, this is wrong move. Oh."
Wrong
It's
move.
just that feeling of shame.
And what people will
What will people
say.
say?
Exactly.
Like all
What
those
will
things.
people
But
say?
nobody cares about what people say, to be honest,
Hmm.
because I would rather be in my place of purpose
Yeah.
than care about what anybody says about me.
Anybody
I don't
says.
care. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So when I came back and I focused squarely on what I wanted to
To
do,
do.
in fact, the fact that I didn't even have a lot of friends around
Hmm.
was even good for me, because that was now time for me to like focus.
Focus and
Do you understand?
concentrate.
So it's when people now start seeing the results, they will now start, this guy, be like, say, this guy, you get, they will now
Yeah.
start. So, but the idea was, I just ensure that that's why in life, anything that happens to you,
Yeah.
you need to be able to find a way to convert it to
Hmm.
the good side of things, right? So I saw it from a place of, okay, I need to work in my purpose. Do you understand? And another thing again for me was, I needed to realize that I'm actually entrepreneurial. Do you understand? I'm not a 9 to 5 person. The
Person.
UK will most likely work for someone that is really core 9 to 5.
9 to 5.
Do you understand? But I needed to follow my own purpose. I needed to do what I need to do so as to. I have an assignment here in Nigeria. Do you understand? And a lot of people need to look at it from that perspective. Yeah, I understand Nigeria might be robbing you of a lot of things.
Yeah.
A lot of things, like in terms of infrastructure, in terms of structure, in terms of you want to leave your house
Yeah.
in the UK, and the map is telling you get there in 10 minutes.
10
Trust me,
minutes.
you'll not get there in 11 minutes. You get there in 10
10
minutes.
minutes. Wow.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So everything is so predictable. Everything is
Yeah.
so. Do you get? It's good. Life is really good, but it's just that that's not where I've been called to.
Hmm.
Do you understand? And one of the ways I saw it again is that it's a place where there's already solution for almost everything, and you can only try where there's problem. Light will only shine where there's darkness.
Plug that.
Do you
You can
understand?
only try where there's
Where there's
problem.
Where there's
problem.
problem, because one of the reasons why Dangote is the richest in Africa is because he's in Nigeria.
Hmm.
He's in Nigeria. There's a lot of problem to solve. Do you understand? So if you are after self-preservation, you're after let me just be in a place that works, then UK is for you.
Case for
But if you're
you.
after the fact that you want to make it big,
Big.
bro,
Want
come
to
back
make
to
crazy
Nigeria.
money.
You want to make crazy money. Because in Nigeria you can sleep with 0 naira and wake up the following morning, yeah, with a lot of
I
money.
agree on
Money.
But
that.
it's not like that in the
You-
UK.
You will explain.
You explain where you got that money from. You understand? So
Hmm.
yeah, trust me, like I like that was my experience over there. It was not a bad experience. It was just that it was not a place that was suited for me.
For you.
Do you understand? But I needed to go through that experience to know for myself
Hmm.
that this, because you know that if you don't go through some experience sometimes, you think, but yeah, if I had tried this,
Try
it will have worked.
this. Hmm.
But you
That's true.
yeah, try it.
Try it.
You can't say, omo, this cannot work.
No
Oh.
work.
So I just so the experience was needed for me, and I do not regret
Don't
it.
regret it. Wow. Okay.
Fantastic. So basically, for those that are moving, they should move with direction. They should be sure it's what they want to do. I know the funniest part is that thank God you even have the courage to come back. Do you know there are some people like that, they are stuck in the system? And I think one of the things that also encouraged you was you thought of it's never too late. Like, let's say probably you are still thinking, okay, let me try more for the next 2 years. Let me try more for the next 3 years. I think that was what affected some people that be like, I can't, what will I go and tell people that have been doing in the UK for the past 5 years? No.
To be honest, another thing is, one of the things I say is, if my mom was alive, it would not have been easy for me to come back.
Because
Why,
she
why,
would
why
have
do you, why do you say
agreed.
Your mom no go agree now.
that?
Your mom will not
That's
agree.
true.
So it would have taken a lot of convincing. It would have taken. I might have needed to stay a bit. Do you understand? But because that was the only major person that had like a control over my life. Every other decision I needed to make for my life was based on what I feel. Do you understand? So it was very easy for me. So when I got the go ahead from God, I just made the move. It was immediately. I did not even. In fact, I was counting down. I can't even lie. The day I was heading to the airport from the UK to that I was heading to the airport to leave the UK, that was like my happiest moment.
Wow.
I'm not even kidding.
You're happy, say, what
Happiest
are they
moment.
correct?
Wow.
Let me just get out of this cold place.
Really? That's
Wow,
crazy.
wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Beautiful.
Exciting story. So now let's talk about business. You started Excelum Realty, right? And I know that you've done a couple of projects.
Mhm.
You understand? So how did your first project go? Tell me the story.
Hmm.
How did it go? Did everything just manifest? I know of Perez Scott, right?
Yeah.
How did it go? How were you able to eat up your project in 7 months? You delivered, and
Mhm.
how's your current project going?
I won't lie. So it doesn't. So I won't lie. Like
Mm.
if I'm going to say anything about my story, most of the time, or if not every time, is linked to God helping me in one way or the
Oh
other.
yeah.
And I
Mm.
do not discount it at any point in time, because you know I think this is the ministry we have. Do you understand? So if, for example, you're a medical doctor and you're a believer, you believe in God, you believe in
Mm.
Christ,
Mm.
that is where you have to preach the gospel of Christ. Do you understand? If you're a pastor, that's where you have to.
To
So
preach the
sometimes when
gospel
I
of God.
talk to some people, they be like, "You should be a pastor." I'm like, "No, I do not need to
No,
be a
no, I
Be
pastor.
a
don't
pastor
expressly.
I
to
just need to be
preach
a
the
believer
word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
in real estate."
Mm-hmm.
Do you
And
understand?
show
Yeah.
tracker is true real
Do
estate.
you get my point?
Mm-hmm.
So not everybody needs to climb the pulpit. So,
Mm.
for example, when I talk about how Perez got happened, it is strange
Mm.
because what happened was the first time I was going to hear that name Perez, I joined Hallelujah Challenge. Funny enough, I don't even
Mm.
really join Hallelujah Challenge that much. But that day I don't know what made me just join.
Join.
And Pastor Nat was talking about Perez. If anybody here attends Hallelujah Challenge, and you attended that day, you would have heard that thing. He said Perez.
Paris.
And it struck in my spirit, and I wrote it down that my
Mm.
first project is Perez. Do you
What's the
understand?
meaning of Paris?
It's to break through.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I wrote it down. And what happened next was the following, because I attend Avestas. So the following year in January was Avestas. I think it was 2024. So it was Avestas wine press. They call it wine press. It's a yearly conference
Activity,
or
yeah.
prayer conference. And while I was praying, I saw bromite.
Mm.
I was like, bromite. I wrote it down. I said, maybe this is another project that we're going to do.
Mm.
Bromite. And I started confessing it. I started praying about it and all. So fast forward to later on that same 2024, I saw somebody building bromite.
Woman.
That's Mr. Eddie. Was building bromite. I was like, so maybe the dream that God gave me, somebody else has
Yeah.
gone to execute it. So I rest my case, right?
Mm.
So God is not my fault. So there was now a time, one of my friends, he wanted to buy a house in Lekki. We attended Unilag together.
Yeah.
So he came around with his babe. So we inspected a particular project. So, and I remember that, oh yeah, bromite is because I was living in Lekki phase one there, and bromite is very close to where I stay. So I was like, oh, let me show him bromite because it's very nice. He wanted to buy a two bed, and they had two bed then for sale. So I took him there, and as we got there, I was even telling him that that the person that designed this bromite, I like the way they designed it though. That I would like the architect to be the one to design my own
Design
project.
yachts.
That if the moment I want to start, I want the person to be the one to design. Then he was now on call with his friend. His friend's name is Wally. Wally was now like, this bromite that you are, because he was doing video call with his friend to show his friend the house he wants to buy. Do you understand? This bromite you are, it's my brother that designed it. That's
Mm.
Wallace was saying is his brother that designed.
The woman.
So that's how he now told me that it's his brother that designed. I say, hey, your brother, I'll get your brother's contact too. So that when I want to do my own project,
Mm.
it's your brother that would
And
design it. And next thing it was good to say, and funny enough, I have one land in Surulere.
The
Just
same
Wale.
person, Wale that is on
Wale.
call.
Yeah. Say, I have one land in Surulere, very nice location. Oh, say you come and check it out. Maybe we can work on it together. I say, oh yeah, now let's check it now. The following day or so, we went there.
The,
At the moment I got there, I said, yeah, this is it.
this is it.
This Perez.
Wow.
Then um so we started Perez. In fact, the first money we needed to build Perez
Paris came.
was crazy
Hmm.
because when we're doing the preliminaries, you understand. And the funny thing is, I've not even told this story before on air.
Hmm.
I got duped of about 12 million naira.
Hmm.
Yeah. So what happened was, that's why when God gives you a vision, don't try to achieve it yourself.
Okay.
So I was thinking that,
Because
okay,
whatever he doesn't commission, will not
yeah,
finance.
exactly. So when we're going to start Perez, because I was like, how will I have money to? Because I saw my
Yeah.
BOK, I was like, I've not seen this kind of money before in my life. So I was like,
Oh,
okay,
move by
if I can,
faith, not by
yeah.
sight.
So if I can borrow maybe like 50 million to start,
Mhm.
and then I can, I can sell at some point, then return the money back. So I met through a friend, I met someone that worked at a microfinance, and she said she claimed that, oh, they give loans to real estate company. I shouldn't worry. Then I committed to doing that. So there were processing fees for the loan. So she kept requesting for different processing fee at some point, at some point, at some point. And at some point I was already paying close to 12 million. And this money was not coming out. It was then I now realized, oh, this babe don't collect my money. So
Wow.
and that was it. Then there was someone else that was going to fund Periscope because we're already edging close to the point where we needed to start. So she promised me heaven and earth that don't worry, I'll give you money, everything. She not give me money.
They shock you.
And engineers were already on site,
Said,
ready to work.
"Money now."
We need money.
Money to start.
I just told myself, oh yeah, enter fasting and prayer. 3 days. But one thing was very like that's why when the Bible says that the things we have held, the things our hands have held, things that we have seen. So it is very difficult for you to take that faith. Do you understand? Away from us. The first day of my fasting and prayer, I just opened the Bible. I read a particular verse, and imagine you reading a Bible verse, and the interpretation you are getting is call this person to give you the money. And immediately I called a friend. Within an hour, she sent me 20 million.
Wow.
She borrowed me 20 million. I was like, God is real. That was how we started Periscope. And before you knew it, we started selling. Then that was how it started. It was later on, I now realized that the reason why God told me about Bromite was because it is the architect of Bromite
That was going
that's going to design Periscope.
So there was an alignment there.
Do you understand? It was the architect, and it was the architect's brother that owns the land.
Wow.
God is real.
Do you understand? So, in fact, there was a day I showed the guy. I showed him like in my notes because whenever I hear from God, I write it down in my notes. So it was literally in my notes, and in fact, it's still pinned in my notes. It was 2025 crossover or something. I can't remember. Or Wine Press 2024. It was literally in my notes. So if you check, and one thing about iPhone notes is that the date is usually there.
Yeah, it's always there.
So this is January 26th January 2024. Can you see? See the way I even spelled it? Bromite.
Yes, that.
As at this date, I have never seen the Bromite project in my life.
Oh, wow.
Do you understand? So, me, I cannot tell the testimony of my project, and it will not be about what God has done. Do you understand? So, it was just that, and basically about following His directions for me, and just being obedient. Sometimes we might want to deviate. Like, for example, when I was trying to raise the funds myself, you get, and I chopped cane.
Now you commissioner,
So, but later I was able to recover my money anyways from the person. I had to. There was a lot of suing and a lot of like we were able to recover the money. But like the idea was that I was able to now learn that if God wants to do anything, don't worry about it. Don't try to help God. He will do it. So when we did Periscope, the major thing about me is I want Excel Homes to be known for quick delivery and standard project. Do you understand? So I want it to be that we are known that we deliver the best of the best and we deliver it fast. Because whenever I see Dubai project, for example, this project, they are building like over 100 units and they are building within 24 months, within 18 months. And we'll see our own developers here that are building 20 units for 3 years, 5 years. Why? Do you understand? It's just because sometimes it's discipline. Sometimes it's about the fact that some people, they don't know what their company really stands for. If you know what your company stands for,
you will know what to do.
you will know what to do. Like, you know that, okay, what technology can we quickly use so that we can deliver fast and deliver quality? Do you understand? I used to tell my guys that a time will come where Excel Homes will probably only build 3 projects in a year or 5 projects in a year, but everybody will want it because of the fact that we already have a track record. Because right now in real estate in Nigeria, delivery is luxury.
Mm.
I don't know if you
I
understand.
get you.
Because a lot of people
Don't
are
deliver.
they don't
Deliver.
deliver.
Exactly.
So if people give you money and you
Yeah, you
deliver,
deliver.
That's true.
yeah,
And that's the mostly fear of clients.
do you get
Yeah,
most
that's
fear,
the
especially
pro-
when it comes to
yeah,
It's not
upline?
like as
yeah,
if the money is not
especially
there.
yeah,
People just
offline
need
project.
people to trust.
Do you know how
That's
many
true.
projects that were not delivered from 2021 to 2024? A lot of projects, a lot of client money, a lot of diaspora's money is
Money.
gone. So we wanted to stand out in that sense that okay, this is what we are known for.
For
So by the time we were done with Periscope, although even though we raised 20 million at some point, there was still a lot of struggle. Do you understand? There was still a lot of struggle because we had to return the money, we had to do some things, So, but at the end of the day, God came through, so we delivered. But one thing that was there was that Periscope was the priority. Do you understand? We had other land banking projects,
project.
but Periscope was the priority. By the time we're now done with Periscope and we got some proceeds from it, we now put it back into the
Other project.
land banking project.
Project.
So, because for me, and one thing about me is I don't really know how to do so many things at the same time. I like focusing on one first,
Thing.
then from there I can do the rest. You understand? So, the idea was to make Periscope the best of the best. So before we moved into any other thing, so and by God's grace, after doing that, a lot of people saw the quality of the delivery. You understand? And Agile Muse, which is our new project,
Your new project.
it's been the demand has been
Wow.
massive. You understand? We're sold out on Agile Muse 1 and 2, even though Muse 2 is not even ready. It's not even we've not even started. So it's sold out already. So it's just like it's God's grace and the fact that knowing what exactly you want for yourself, for your company, knowing what you want to be known for. You understand? So like the engineers I'm working with now, when I tell them that no, I want us to look for a way to deliver fast, even if it's going to cost us more, let's just deliver fast. Is because we are not looking for all the profits in this project. We are building goodwill. Do you understand? And goodwill, now you're an accountant. Goodwill is one of those intangible assets in your non-current assets. It's sitting there,
Okay.
and
You can't
as
see
a
it,
yes,
but it's
as a
actually affecting your business.
exactly as a real estate company, the more you deliver, the more your
More your
goodwill is
goodwill.
increasing.
Increasing. That's true.
So that's the idea. That's how I see it. So when they tell me, oh man, no, Aloju, it's going to cost us too much if we do this, I say no, do it.
Let's do it.
Because this is not where we are looking for our profit. When you have now set up that goodwill for yourself, where the goodwill is even the value of your goodwill is outweighing the value of your non-current assets, other non-current assets, or your tangible assets in your this thing. A time will come where a property of 200 million, because of the fact that your company has goodwill, you can sell it for 300 million. People will buy.
That's true.
Because you know you deliver.
That's true.
Do you understand my point?
Yeah.
So that's the idea of what we are trying to, and this is the time for us to suffer. This is time for us to sell at below the price that we're meant to sell, deliver fast. Do you understand? Relative to our cost, anyways. So all those things. So at the end of the day, you now learn that okay, yeah, this is actually how you are meant to build your business. Then a time will now come where you can now tell them this is my price. Take it or leave it. And most of the time they will not leave it. They will take it because they know that they can trust you. Do you understand? So that's essentially what the journey has been.
So I think in this story I learned about, a lot of people see borrowing as a bad thing. And to me, I don't think I used to liken borrowing to the story of that woman, Elijah and the Shunammite woman. You know, Elijah told her something, go and borrow. And he said, the more you borrow, the oil will stop at the last container, right? And in the context of business, I used to tell a lot of people that in fact, if you don't borrow, there are some level you cannot get in business. Don't worry. I used to use Dangote as an example. That Dangote is the most. There's nobody that Dangote is. In fact, I was watching his podcast over the week. I don't know whether you also sit down and watch the podcast, and he was saying how you borrowed
Banks.
all the big banks. He mentioned the big man that he was owing
It was owing,
to
yeah.
actually, and I look at it that at the end of the day, what made this man's net worth to shoot in less than 6 months times two was because he took a risk. He borrowed. When he was borrowing, he was looking like, why is this guy just borrowing money from everybody now? But now his wealth has doubled. Do you understand the point? And that's why I keep telling people that from your own story now, you notice that you borrowed from but at the end of the day, are you still a borrower? You've done business, you've moved on, you've returned the money to where you, and it has helped you to scale up your business one way or the other. Now you have one or two projects that you've even sold out that, and that starts from. But what do you have to comment about that? What do you
In
think about
fact,
that?
one thing I've even realized is that that is actually a template for scaling.
Mhm.
Do you understand? So we needed to scale from what we were into a higher level when we're building Periscott, and we need to borrow 20 million, right? Now in my head, I'm like, the moment we are done with our Agile Muse series, do you understand? By the time we are done with our Agile Muse series, and we want to now move to another level, it will now be another time where we're now thinking of borrowing 2 billion. We're looking at borrowing 20 billion for us to get to
Scale
another.
another level.
Do you understand? So it's actually a template. You need, they call it leverage in finance. So you need leverage, because leverage is borrowing. Do you understand? And you need that leverage for you to be able to actually scale. Because if you only want to be restricted to your own capacity or what you can raise, then you're not going to go far. You understand? So yeah, I think that's one way to is a template already. Me, I see it as a template. I accidentally stumbled on it back then, but now I know it's actually a template and it's something that should be replicated, across board. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mm.
Amaka, let
Okay.
me leave you to
So
start
talking
some question.
about reality of building wealth in Nigeria. So let's be honest, is it really possible for an average person to build wealth now in Nigeria with the way the economy is and all? So do you think it's possible for an
But
average
the
person?
first thing is, what's the definition of an average
Average
person?
person.
How much is an average person making per month?
Mm.
I think that's where the first question is.
Mm.
So, I might want to say that an average person can, let's say, for example, maybe an average person is making like 500k per month.
Mm.
Let's see.
For
Okay.
example.
500. I
Or
think that's
is it
too
more than
much.
that?
Sef.
That's not average.
150K.
That's not average.
But the
150k
thing
is
is that
not average.
I think the question now is, are they really average
They're
in
Mm.
they're
this
actually
economy?
they're actually average.
Is that
They're
how you have or
Okay.
you don't have? Oh? You choose one.
Yeah, I understand.
Is that how
But
Mm.
you...
they're still middle class actually. Although
Yeah, that's true.
it's actually shrinking,
Mm.
but still they are middle class. And when it comes to things like this, it's just about being determined. Do you understand? I hosted my dad on Sunday, and by the way, I've forgiven him. So I hosted him on Sunday. Yeah, I've forgiven him for leaving us. Yeah. So
Mm.
I hosted him on Sunday, and we were talking about a couple of things, and we were also able to talk about his own mistakes, the errors he made, while we're growing up. Because as a kid, I remember living in so many places. I can remember as a kid, I remember living in like more than 8 places,
Wow.
from one place to another.
So another.
So it's either we're relocating from here to there to all those things. So and one of the regrets he had was not buying real estate when he
Mm.
had the capability to. So like there are some places in Ajana, for example,
Yeah.
that back then they told him to come and buy for 300k. It's not like he didn't have 300k, but 300k
Yeah.
was a lot of money back
Money
then.
then
But at the same time, if he knew that his life was going to depend on it, he would have done it.
done it. Mm.
Do you understand? So if I say an average person is making like 500k to like a million per month,
Yeah.
is it going to be difficult for the person to buy a 5 million naira land? Yes.
Very
But if they
difficult.
know that in 15 years' time, my wealth is going to be dependent on how disciplined I am about this, then they would have done it.
Done it.
Do you understand my point?
Yeah, I do.
So an average person just needs to realize that when it comes to buying real estate, it is very important.
Mm.
It is actually very important. And but most of the time, what I advise people is,
Yeah.
if you can find something to invest in that will first give you cash flow,
Cash flow.
so that, because there are some real estate that you do that there are two types of real estate investment. So there's one that has cash flow, while there's a dormant one. So land banking, for example, is dormant
Dormant.
in the sense that you're not going to be making any
Money
cash flow from it,
from it.
in the immediate term. You understand? So it is later on you start, probably when you resell. Is majorly capital appreciation. That's the only promise for land banking. But if you do short let, for example, you understand, you can actually
Cash
still
flow,
get cash
yeah,
flow.
from
And the funny thing is, you don't even have to buy the property for you to do short let. You can rent an apartment. I know of one of my friends that just did it recently. He rented an apartment and he's furnished it and is using it for short let, and he's making good money because it's in a very good location. This person now, I can say this person is still an average person.
Mm.
Do you understand? But the person just decided that, oh, I have to work hard to get this. He said the moment he gets like a 3 month booking, he's going to use that money to buy land.
Hmm.
So now this guy has been able to first off create um create a system for cash flow
For him.
so that he is able to get money to buy something that is dormant. Because
Dormant.
imagine he used that money
Yeah.
to buy land.
Hmm.
He'll just have land and that's it.
Hmm.
Just look for
And
your
these are
Land that
some financial mistake people make.
exactly. In fact, let me tell you one. When in 2020, when I started making money from real
Mm.
estate, I told myself I was not going to buy a car.
Hmm. Why?
And that was the biggest mistake I made. Yeah. I told myself I was not going to buy a car. I said, no, I will own apartments. I will own lease. Then lease were raining then. So I went to buy lease of close to 5 million. And 5 million then was a lot of money.
A lot of money, yeah.
So I went to buy lease. I was trying investing in real estate instead of me to buy a car. And the reason why is I'm reflecting on that right now is that somebody called me recently. He's new, he's relatively new in real estate. And he said he's just made about close to 10 million and he's thinking should he buy a car? And I said, bro, go and buy that car. Because number one, you need something to make your operation smoother.
Yeah.
You need something to increase your credibility.
Exactly.
If you jump boss, meet clients,
Fine.
and you enter and you brought a car, there's a difference.
Exactly.
A client
It's
can
true.
trust you.
Yeah, when they see you.
This one way they drive.
You come.
Do you understand? Because
Yeah.
Nigerians are they are classist.
For real.
the client say, I get land.
Do you get?
Yeah.
Do you get?
I mean, what can you land with?
Do you understand?
That's
So
true.
that was the first mistake I made.
Mm.
If I had if I had gotten a car back then, I was thinking about cars like a lifestyle thing, but that's not what it was. It was something that was going to help my business to move to the next level. But I did not see it that way. Do you get? So if I had gotten that, my operations were smoother, then I was making more cash flow, then I could have taken the business to the next level. So I had to advise the guy. And that's why it's always good to have mentors.
Exactly.
Because your own today is somebody else's yesterday.
Yesterday. That's
Do you get?
true.
So the moment the guy, I said, bro, collect, buy car.
Buy
If it's
car.
possible, get office.
Yes.
Bro, set yourself up.
Hmm.
Because these are the things that are actually going to bring in
Yes,
more money
attract clients and
and attract clients.
That's
So
true.
that's
Mm.
it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so Mr. Ezel, what's your can you give advice to the young ones out there, not just the young ones too out there now? Yes, are looking to start real estate. So can you just like give us like exactly what can they do? Where should they start from? What should be their first step to?
That's a very good question. So I think the first thing any new person should be looking out for in real estate, like a blueprint, the first thing should be mentorship.
Mm.
So you should get yourself a mentor. And there's something about mentorship, which is that it's just like it's a what they call that thing? It's a universal, it's like a it's like it's like a universal rule. Do you understand? In the sense that when you learn from someone and you genuinely serve that person, the person is going to be pouring in like value into you, and you're going to be taking that, it's going to help you take it to the next level. So for example, I can remember when I was still growing in real estate back when I came back in 2023, and somebody came to meet me. It's like, oh, he sees what I'm doing and he wants to join me, wants to work with me or learn from me. And from there, in fact, when I was mentoring this guy, he literally does not know how to talk to clients. He was not confident talking to clients, you understand. So I taught him, I literally put him through majority of the things he knew, and now he's doing fantastically well, you understand.
Yeah.
So nothing trumps having a very good mentor, and you don't necessarily have to go through like someone that is already. Just look for someone that that this guy, there's a trajectory, you understand. So that's number one. Then number two, as a new realtor, I believe you should have like things that you do every single day.
Mm.
So you should have a weekly routine. So there's something you should be doing on Monday, there's something you should be doing on Tuesday, like that, like that.
Yeah.
So back then I remember clearly on Monday I was always out. Probably I'll wear my suit and all, I'll go to site and scout for properties, you understand, and also create content. Tuesdays I'll probably do my YouTube videos. Wednesday I'll reach out to clients. Thursdays. Like I had things I was doing
Doing.
every single day. Because if you do not have things you're doing every day, then at the end of the day, you cannot produce the same result people that are serious are doing. Do you understand? And another thing is you need to ask questions. The major thing for a new realtor is you need to get clients. So every single thing you need to do for you to get clients, you must do
To
it.
do it.
And client acquisition is like the major thing right now in real estate because it's competitive.
It's not even more like
That's
as if
true.
real estate is more accessible to client themselves. So,
Do you understand? It is very. In fact, there are some clients that they will see you advertise the property, they will go and reach out to the company directly.
exactly. Exactly.
So you need to be able to establish yourself as a credible person. So you need to probably create educational content. You know, you need to learn yourself as well. You need to go for different classes. Then I also advise any new realtor to take the course by Dan Lamy. They can check for Dan Lamy on Instagram. Check, he has like an online course. I did it, but it was a physical class for me. But you can, the online is essentially the same thing as the physical class. You should do it so you can learn more about how to talk to clients, how to get listings, how to close deals, all those things. There are things that you can actually learn. So I think another major thing is every realtor should be hungry for knowledge. A lot of times, a lot of realtors don't even know how to talk to clients. I've seen a case where we closed the deal. I closed the deal because the client, when I spoke to the client connected with me. But the realtor, nah.
So,
Because there was even a time where the realtor was speaking in a manner that was not even nice to the client. The client sent me the screenshot. And the client is telling me I shouldn't worry. Oh. It's not like she's not buying from me. Oh. I shouldn't worry. But this person has messed up. And she was telling me, tell him not to reach out to me again. Do you understand? So some people they don't know how to talk to clients sometimes. Some people can be too emotional. Some people can, they don't, you understand my point? So
yeah.
all these things are things that it's a product of learning.
Learning.
You need to learn a whole lot. And you need to also, when you start selling, you start getting clients, you start selling, then you need to now apply the 80-20 principle.
Okay.
So the 80-20 principle is the Pareto principle that says that 80% of what you're doing is bringing 20% of the money, while 20% of what you're doing is bringing 80% of the money. So if there's a sales team now and there are 10 in that team, only 2 are bringing the major money, while 8 are bringing just very small money. Do you understand? That's the 80-20 principle. So when it comes to activities in real estate, you need to find the 20% that is going to fetch you money and focus on those things. The remaining 80% of the activities that are not giving you so much, delegate those things. And that was one of the things that changed the game for me. I read that in How to Sell Like Crazy in 2023. So I listed out every single thing I was doing for my business. And I noticed that almost it's just about 20% of these things that are really bringing the money directly, like conducting inspections, following up with clients. Do you understand? Negotiating deals. Those were the things that were bringing money, coming up with offers. But things like posting Happy New Month on Instagram, posting listings on Instagram, posting listings on my group chat, all those things, scouting, they were not really bringing the money. So I now delegated those things to people and focused on what was really bringing the money. So at first, you might need to be the one to do most of those things, but a time come where you actually have to delegate those things, especially when you start generating income, when you start selling. You understand? But at first, your first major focus should be on how to get clients, how to close deals. Then the more you're closing deals, then you should start creating structure little by little. Yeah. As a 20-year-old, if you are able to uh, look into 15 years time and realize that how wealthy I am going to be is dependent on the investment I make now. Do you understand? Then you should make that investment. I remember selling a property to a client in Ikoyi. That was in 2024. And he was just gisting us about when he bought a piece of land in Banana Island. He bought the land for 36 million, I think. That was like in 2004. He said right now that land is valued over 3 billion. Do you understand? So, and the funny thing is, for example, as at 2004, The land was valued at 36 million, Abi.
Yeah.
Imagine 6 years' time from that 2004. That means that's like 2010.
Hmm.
The land will have been valued at like 100 million.
100
Imagine he
million
sold it.
then.
And these are
Hmm.
my issues. These are the major issues with people that do land banking. You buy something and immediately
They want to sell exactly.
what's the value of my land? And that's why don't buy land if that's all you have. First, in fact, first go and put your money in businesses that will fail. Go and fail. Go and lose your money. Go and do a lot. Do you understand? Like when you now have a business that gives you sustainable cash flow, then invest in land banking. Sorry,
Thank you.
invest in land banking. Do you understand? Or if you have enough money, you can buy into off-plan properties and resell. That's one of the ways you can make money. That's one of the things one of my clients did for Perescott. She bought a one bedroom of Perescott when we're like, I think we're like in first floor or something. She bought it for like, I think she bought it for like 70 million. You understand? Then by the time we're done, she sold it for 95. So and that was like within 5 months. You understand?
Wow.
Within 5 or 6 months, she sold it and she made like 20 million profit on it. Do you understand?
Okay.
So these are one of the ways people can make money from real estate,
Mm.
in the sense that you can buy an off-plan property. If you buy an off-plan property,
Yeah.
one thing about buying off-plan properties, you don't even need to pay at once.
At one exactly.
It's like a job. You're paying small,
Small,
paying
small, small, small.
Then by the time the property is ready, you sell it and you make your
Make
money
from
once. Do you understand? So there's this friend of mine now that she said her dream is she wants to buy her own apartment in Lekki Phase 1.
Hmm.
I said, how much do you have right now? She said she has 100 million. First
Hmm.
of all, 100 million cannot buy you a house or an apartment in Lekki
If
Phase
it's
1.
one.
But this is what you can do. I have projects on the mainland. If you invest like 100 million now,
Hmm.
by the time they are ready, you can sell it for like 150 million, 160 million.
Hmm.
You're already edging close to being able to buy
So
something in
get
Lekki Phase 1.
Phase
So
1.
if you now sell at 150, you collect a whole 150.
Hmm.
There's no developer in Lekki Phase 1 you want to give 150 now that this is my deposit for an off-plan project. They will collect it.
Yeah,
Do you
that's true.
understand?
Yeah.
Then from there, before you know it, you're able to get what you really want.
Hmm.
So that's one way. Capital appreciation is one of the major ways you can actually move around money and make money in real estate.
Real estate.
So it's not just about rent. We all know that rent has casted, right? So short let too is there.
Is there.
Short let in areas that are really moving. You understand?
Yeah.
Especially areas that are open to the coastal road. That's why I really
Mm.
like Sheba Residence too. The fact that this place is like about 10 minutes
10
to VI.
Coastal, yeah.
Do you understand? So those are places you should definitely invest your money into. Then if you also can do land banking, agriculture,
Yeah.
which I know you guys are doing as well.
Yes.
So those are things that you can actually do to
Put your
really,
money in together.
yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Ezel. This has been such an honest and thank you for sharing your experience with us. And I learned a lot from this session. And I'm very sure our audience too have been able to pick one or two from what Mr. Ezel has shared with us in this session today. But before we go, we have something for our guest speaker from Robot Hills International Limited.
So
Thank
Okay,
you.
so Mr. Ezel, this is us saying thank you for honoring our invitation.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very
So
much.
before we wrap up and say goodbye in this session, I want to say thank you very much for staying to the end of this session, and do well to like, subscribe, and turn on the post notification button, because we are coming with more mind-blowing episodes. So stay tuned. Bye.